Today with ChatGPT, anybody can build anything. In this video, I'm going to showcase how easy it is to build an amazing AI app from start to finish with no programming background using ChatGPT and a programming language like JavaScript. Again, you don't have to have any background in programming. We're going to use ChatGPT for everything from start to finish. We're going to copy and paste the code. We're going to copy and paste the instruction, and we're going to basically follow step by step the guide that ChatGPT provides us to build our project. In fact, I don't even have a project idea. We're going to ask ChatGPT to give us a project to build. I'm going to showcase how easy it is to follow the instructions that are given from ChatGPT to build an amazing project, because this will help you not only learn how coding works, but it will get rid of the beliefs that you can't build a really useful project if it involves coding. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing is, like I said, I don't know what I'm going to build. So I'm actually going to ask ChatGPT to give me 5 useful project ideas to build. So let's go ahead and do that. So I said, I've never done any programming. I want to create an interesting project using JavaScript. And again, you don't have to use JavaScript. You could use Python or whatever you like, but JavaScript is very easy and beginner friendly. So that's why I chose JavaScript. And I said, give me 5 useful project ideas I could create in the field of AI. That's it, very simple. So I'm going to press enter and just wait for ChatGPT to give me these ideas. Again, it's crazy that in today's world, people are still afraid of using programming to build something. I'm just going to show again how simple things have become now using AI tools like ChatGPT to actually not only build things, but even debug things. So if you run into any issues, which I'm sure we'll run into this small issues here and there when we're building this project, but I'm going to showcase how easy it is actually to overcome those issues by literally asking ChatGPT to solve those problems. Okay, so here's a bunch of projects that it suggested. Number 1, chatbot with Dialogflow. So create a simple channel Google's Dialogflow to integrate into a web page using JavaScript. Okay, yeah, chatbot is not that interesting. Sentiment analysis on social media posts. Build a web app, analyze sentiment. That's not that great. Image recognition with TensorFlow.js. Create a web app that can recognize objects in image using TensorFlow.js. That's interesting. A JavaScript library for training and deploying machine learning models in the browser. Okay, so that's a very interesting project, right? Basically what it's saying is that we can use TensorFlow.js, which is a AI library that we can use this app to basically recognize objects in an image. So that looks very interesting. Voice assistant and web speech API. Develop a simple voice assistant using speech API to recognize voice commands. That seems a bit too complicated. Recommendation system for movies. Build a movie recommendation system that suggests movies based on that. Yeah, so I think for now, out of these 5, I really like this image recognition with TensorFlow.js. So let's go ahead and actually build that. Okay, so this is what I typed. I said, I like the image recognition app idea. I'm a complete beginner to programming. I have Visual Studio installed, and I'm going to show you in a little bit what Visual Studio is. On my Mac, walk me through the step-by-step guide on how to create this app. Don't leave any details, explain each step, and then tell me what to do. Add comments about each section of the code that explains what the code does. All right, so you can literally copy paste then this prompt into ChatGPT. So first thing is Visual Studio. So a Visual Studio is basically a popular text editor that's used for programming, which is literally that simple. So all you have to do is go to Visual Studio and install this. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So you have to go to code.visualstudio.com and just literally click on download Mac Universal. That's it. It's very, very simple. Since I've already done that, once you guys do that, all you have to do is just click on that app, and this is what it looks like. Again, it's a very in its simplest form, it's a text editor, which is the foundation for programming, where you can create files, where you can create folders, and then you can use Visual Studio to copy paste that code that we're going to use ChatGPT for. So we're literally going to copy and paste the code from ChatGPT to Visual Studio and basically run our app through that. That's it. So this is the only application that you need to install. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that and you can come back. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this for now and we can go back to ChatGPT. Okay, and let's go ahead and press enter. So now it's going to give me step-by-step guide on how to create our, or how to set up our project. And then we can go ahead and ask it further questions as far as the code, and then if we don't understand anything in these steps, I'm going to show you how to actually ask further clarification questions, so that way you can do that throughout the project. So here's the first step. Again, the first step, let's go ahead and follow that, and we'll move on to the second and third step. So it says, first, let's create a new project folder and set up the files necessary. Okay, so again, it's literally giving me a guide on what to do. It says create a project folder, open Visual Studio Code, create a new folder for your project. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to open Visual Studio. Let's go ahead and put this here so we can see it. So it says open Visual Studio Code. We did that. Create a new folder for your project and name it Image Recognition App. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on open. Again, you can actually go ahead to your own files and create it, but I'm just going to do it through this because it's a lot easier. And go to my documents folder and create a folder here called Image Recognition. That's it. Okay, so I'm gonna click on create. So now we have this folder called Image Recognition, and I'm just gonna click on open, and you can just say trust. Yeah, that's fine. Just gives you permissions. All right, so now I am in my image recognition folder. So now what's the next step? It says open the folder in Visual Studio Code. We already did that. Create basic files. So again, same thing, just literally follow the steps one by one. Inside your project folder, create the following files. So the easiest way to create a file in Visual Studio is right click, or you can again do that here. But I'm just gonna go, since I'm already inside this folder, I'm gonna click on right click, create a new file. So we're gonna create 3 files. One is called index.html. Okay. The next one is going to be style.css. And then another one is going to be script.js. That's it. 3 files created under our image recognition folder. All right. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. All right. What's the next step? So next step, it says set up the HTML structure. Step 2 is setting up this HTML. We already created our index.html file. Now what we have to do is, again, literally just copy and paste. So all we have to do is come on the top right corner here and click on copy. We copy the code. You don't have to know what it is. And go back to my Visual Studio, click on index.html and literally paste it. That's it. Copy paste, that's all you need. That's the only skill you need. Okay, so I'm gonna Control S, or you can save it from the file there. So all right, that file is saved. What's the next step? Step 3, add basic styling. Next, let's add some basic styling to our app. Okay, so again, same thing. I'm literally gonna copy and paste the code here. So I'm gonna say copy, and I'm to go and says style.css, which is the file that we created. This one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on paste here. All right, and Command S or Control S if you're in PC. Okay, that's done. Step 4, implement image upload and display. We'll now add functionalities to upload the display selector. All right, so this is our JavaScript file. So our script.js file is going to be this one. So I'm just going to say copy code. Same thing. Go back to my folder, script.js, and paste. Command S to save. Okay, so now we have the basics of the foundation of all 3 files. So now we're going to keep continuing the steps. So it says load and use mobile net modal. So same thing, we're just gonna copy and paste this code. Okay, so now as you can see the comments here on the code itself, this actually shows you step by step on what each section of the code does. So this is a great way to learn actually how coding works. And that's why, if you remember in the beginning, that's why I put that, where'd it go? Right here at the bottom, I said add comments above each section of the code that explain what the code does. And this is exactly what it's doing, right? So it's above each line of code or above each section of the code, these little 2 backslash, it's actually a comment that explains what that section of the code does. So for example, this one right here, the async function classify image, it says load the mobile net modal and classify the selected image. Next, this line of code, const image element, right? Document.get element by ID, it says select the image element. So this section of the code is responsible for selecting the image. This section is responsible for classifying the image, and this section is responsible for displaying the results. Again, very, very simple, a really good way to actually understand what the code does. So that's why I put that little prompt in the beginning, so that way you actually understand and learn how each section of the code works. All right, so let's go ahead and copy and paste this again. So I'm just gonna say copy and go to my Visual Studio again. Okay, and then I'm gonna come down here, just add an extra line so that way it's more space, and paste. All right, that looks good. All right, so that's done. Again, now it explains exactly these files that we created and what do we do inside this code. So again, on HTML, you can read this yourself if you want, but this kind of goes through the different sections of the code and explains exactly what we did here. Okay, so now step 6, running the app. So it says open index.html in a browser, and the way you do it is you open your project folder and then you double click on index.html to open it in your default browser. So since I'm using Chrome, I'm just gonna go ahead to a new tab and go to open file. I'm gonna go to my image recognition folder, and all I have to do is just literally click on index.html, double click on that. And that's it. That's basically your app already built. Again, obviously this is kind of like a very foundation of the app. You can now, what we're going to do is actually go ahead and iterate and try to make this app even more useful. But for now, this app looks like it's being built. So one thing is that Chrome itself has a really good debugging tool, and debugging is basically if you run into any issues in your app, Chrome has this functionality or this tool where you can actually see how the app is being loaded on the browser, and when you interact with it, and you can when you make changes, you can actually see what's happening behind the screen in the browser using this tool. So I'm gonna right click anywhere in the browser and click on inspect. So now this entire app is open. So this is basically the background or the foundation of the code that we built using ChatGPT on our Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to go on consoles to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I can see the status right here. So now let's go back to ChatGPT. So it says double click on that. We did that already. Test the app. It says upload an image using file input. The image should be displayed and the classification results should appear below. Okay, let's try that. So I'm going to click on choose file. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and actually get some pictures. So I'm going to say image of a cow. I don't know. So let's go ahead, image of a cow. Okay, so this looks good. I'm just gonna basically screenshot this. Again, you could do whatever you want, but this is a good way to test our app. So I'm gonna just copy that. Okay, so let's do another maybe image of a dog. And again, you can do whatever you want, but animals are a good way to have those, test these apps as far as their recognition goes. Let's see, image of a cup, let's say. Okay, that looks good. Let's try that. Okay, let's see what else. Image of a statue. Or a mask, actually, that's an interesting one, because we wanna make sure, or we wanna see if this tool actually works, right? So animals might be too easy for recognition. So let's go ahead and this is a good picture of a mask, for example. This is a mask of a guy fox. All right, that's good. And then let's see, yeah, I think that's good enough for now. So I'm gonna now go ahead and go back to my folder. Okay, so I added all of these pictures that I took the screenshot from in my documents folder. So now I can go to my image recognition app, click on choose file, go to my documents. Let's try the cow first. Okay, there you go. Okay, I chose the file, so nothing happened. This is great because now we can actually ask ChatGPT that this is the result, nothing happened. So let's ask it to see if it can provide us a solution for this, right? So I'm gonna literally go back, and again, this is great because you can actually see in real life how you can solve these problems that you run into. All you have to do is just ask ChatGPT what happened, and it can give you the results. Okay, so now I'm gonna say, it seems that you can add the image, but there's no way to submit the image for processing, right? Because that's what the issue is here. I feel like, because it's, and again, I could be wrong, but I'm just literally chatting with ChatGPT to tell me what it does, but it just looks like I can choose the file, but there's no way for me to submit this. So that's literally what I'm saying. It says, so let's see what it does, right? All right, so now it says, let's refine the implementation to ensure the image is processed after uploading, right? So it recognized that, okay, yeah, that's probably the issue. If it wasn't, then it could have given me something else. So now all I have to do, again, is just copy and paste, right? So I'm just gonna copy this code from each file and replace the existing file with the new code. So I have to do copy. So let's go ahead and change our HTML file. So I'm gonna go to my HTML file, index.html. Again, just gonna select all, delete this, paste the new one, save. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to my CSS file, copy, go to CSS and paste. That's it. Control S. Make sure you do Command S or save to make sure that the new code that you're copying is being applied to your project. Same thing, I'm going to go to my JavaScript one, copy, script.js, select, delete, paste, save. Very simple. All right, so now let's try this again, right? Let's refresh. There you go. Now the submit button showed up, you know, literally that simple. Okay, so again, let's try this again. I'm gonna choose the file, cow, click on submit. There you go. So it says, it shows me the result at the bottom here. So with a 43%, okay, yeah, so let me explain what's happening here, because this is on the TensorFlow is basically, in simplest terms, it's the AI library that will give you the result with a probability of what it thinks the image is, or what it thinks the objects inside the images. So now it says with the 42% probability, it thinks that the character or this content of the image or is classifying is either as a Bayesian hound, a Bayesian Pendenek, I don't know what that is, but it's giving you the percentage of probabilities that it thinks what this image is, right? So it says with a 31% probability, it thinks this is an ox, right? And with 8% probability, it thinks it's a sorrel. I don't know what that is, but anyways, gives you an idea. So let's try something different. So let's try this dog, right? So I'm gonna click on that dog, click on submit, and you gotta wait a couple seconds. Oh, there you go. So now with a 91% probability, it says that this is a golden retriever, which is actually very true. This is a golden retriever puppy, but it's giving you other probabilities as well. So with the 7% probability, it says it's a Labrador retriever, and a 1% is other dog breed. So let's try again. Let's try something different. Let's try this mask right here. Click on submit again. There you go. That's pretty accurate. So with the 90% accuracy probability, it says that the content of this image or what's inside this image is in a mask. With the 5% is ski mask, and then an academic gown or academic robe or a judge robe with a 2%, and that's obviously wrong, but I think it's recognizing this little scarf underneath it, so maybe that's why it says that. Okay, so improvements, we can make improvements to this app. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, but when you upload a new picture and you click on submit, nothing happens. It takes a couple of seconds, which means it's actually processing, but it's not showing us to the user what's going on. It almost feels like the app is not working. So let's go ahead and try to fix that. So we can tell ChatGPT, okay, great, the app is working, but it looks like we need to add a loading wheel or something to show the user that the app is processing the uploaded image. Again, I'm just telling it what I think it should do, and then based on the prompt that I'm writing, it will actually tell me to make sure that it understands that what my ask is, and then based on that I can go back and forth. So for now, this is a good way to tell it, hey, I think we need to add some kind of a loading wheel to show the user that, hey, this is actually working. The app is working in the background on classifying this image, so that way the user understands that the app is not broken or it's not frozen or anything like that. It's just taking some time to load. So again, I'm just writing that out of the top of my head, but if I see that, hey, ChatGPT didn't understand that properly, or if I see that the result doesn't come out as good, I can come back and tell it to do something different. So let's go ahead and do that for now. Okay, there you go. So sure, adding a loading spinner will enhance the user experience by indicating that the image is being processed. Very simple. Again, I didn't even know the name of this thing. All I thought it was called a loading wheel, but as you can see, it's actually called a loading spinner. So it understood exactly what I was asking it to, so I don't need to update my prompt. So let's go ahead and again, now same thing, just literally copy, delete the existing code in the file and just update the file. So let's go ahead and do our HTML first. Index.html, paste, save, done. Go to CSS, copy, style.css, and paste, save. Okay. Update the JavaScript, copy. We're gonna go to our JavaScript file. Same thing. And paste, save. Again, make sure you're saving it after each update, because otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay, so great. All right, so now let's go back to our app, and I'm gonna click on refresh. Let's try this again. So choose a file. Let's do this dog again. Click on submit, and there you go. So now it's showing that loading wheel. Now as a user, I can see that, oh, actually, the app is actually working. It's just loading, so I don't have to worry about clicking away or worrying about the fact that the app is frozen or something like that. So that's a really good way to improve the app and give it a better user experience. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this mask thing again. To test it out again, submit, and done. Perfect, that worked. All right, so another thing we could do is we can actually improve the look and feel of this app. As you can see right now, it's kind of all cramped up into one area, and I don't see any colors, right? It's kind of a very bland app. It seems that there's definitely improvements that's needed as far as the look and feel of the app. So let's go ahead and actually ask ChatGPT, hey, I don't like the look and feel of this app, and then also everything kind of looks cramped up. Let's go ahead and update and try to make the style a little better. So let's just go ahead and type that, something similar to that. I'm going to say that's great. The app seems to be working, but everything seems too cramped up, and the app is very basic and bland. I don't know if bland is a word, but let's try it. Can you please update the apps look with some colors and better user experience? All right, let's see what that does. All right, so it says certainly let's enhance the look and feel of the app with some modern design elements for better user experience improvement. Great. Again, same thing, copy paste. So let's go ahead and do that. Copy, do our HTML first. Paste. Oh, I think I messed that up. Copy. Yep, there you go. Make sure you copy it correctly, otherwise you don't want to paste your HTML file, or you don't want to paste your JavaScript file into your HTML code. Save. go to CSS, copy, style.css, paste, save. Okay, JavaScript, script, and save. All right, perfect. So now let's try this again. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. As you can see already, the look and feel of the app kind of looks a little more. The design looks better. You can see it added this little segment here, this little container, and then the button looks like it's a lot better as far as its position is concerned. So let's just go ahead and try to test this again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, even the image, it is in this nice little container. Before it was kind of like all over the place and it was really cramped up. So let's go ahead and click on submit. The loading wheel works fine. And as you can see, the classification is kind of really nice and in the center. And the app container itself has like a little shadow and it's right in the center of the app. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. So that way this kind of gets recentered. So again, let's go ahead and ask it to add some background colors for the actual app itself. So, because again, I want it's kind of still very plain. So I'm just gonna say, okay, that's great. Can you please add some nice colors in the background of the app? Okay. All right, so sure, it says a gradient background for the app, more appealing look. So all I have to do is now, as you can see, it's telling me to just update the CSS file because the app itself, the HTML or the JavaScript doesn't need to be touched because again, all we're doing is improving the background of the app itself. So all it says, and again, you don't even have to know that, right? I mean, I have programming background because I already know how all of this programming languages work, and I know which CSS file or which files are for what. But even if you don't, all you have to do is just follow the instructions step by step. Right here is just telling you specifically to update the CSS file for a gradient background. It's not telling you to update any other files at all, right? So that's literally what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this code, and all I have to do is now go and just only update my style.css this time. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this and save it. And then come back to my app, refresh. There you go. As you can see, it has a really cool little gradient design. And now if I test this out, so let's go ahead and just add this mask. Click on submit. The loading wheel works. The classification looks great. And as you can see, the background looks nice too. So again, extremely simple and really well put together app that you can create. And all you have to do is just go back and forth with ChatGPT. If you want to change something, if you run into any kind of problems, all you have to do is just interact with ChatGPT and tell it exactly what issues you're running into, and it'll give you solutions. And even if you run into some kind of a code issue, or if there's any kind of an error that will pop up, and that's why I said that this inspection tool by Chrome on console here, if you run any kind of errors, this is a useful tool because all you have to do is just literally copy the error that you run into here and paste it into ChatGPT, and it will give you a solution for it. So that's how simple programming has become. So this is just a small example of what you can build. Again, this is a very simple app that we built, although powerful, because again, it is using AI to actually identify or classify the content of an image using a library which is called TensorFlow.js, which is actually a popular library that's used in real-world programming. So as you can see, you know, the accuracy of the algorithm or the accuracy of this library actually works really well because it can identify the contents of an image with really high probabilities. And we tested a few images and it looks like it worked properly. The only thing we didn't test actually was the cup. So let's go ahead and do that too. There you go. It actually shows it specifically it's a coffee mug, right? So that's the highest, and it's always gonna put the highest probability on top, of course. But you can see it is very powerful because it is using machine learning and AI to actually identify the content of the image. So you can see now you can go ahead and build like whatever you want, right? Yeah, so I had told it to build me this image classification app, but you can, build something else. Or I said, give me 5 ideas. You can say, give me 10 ideas. You can ask it to build something specific if you're looking for, whether it's an app, whether it's a website, whether it's a browser extension, or whatever it may be. You can just see how simple things have become. And this is a great way for you to learn programming, how programming works, because again, we asked it to provide us a step-by-step guide on each part of the code, and we also told it to provide us a comment above each line of code that it provides, so that way we understand what that code is actually doing. And as you can see, even things on the JavaScript right now, this section, it shows hide the loading spinner, it says classify the image, display the results, all of this line by line above each code. It provides that specific comment to make sure you understand what each part of the app is doing, right? All right, I hope this was helpful, and I hope this removes the fear of building things using programming languages, especially in today's world with ChatGPT. I mean, honestly, like I said, you don't even have to have any background in coding. If you build like 10 projects like this, you're gonna already get familiar with how coding works, how each file works, how a programming language works. Again, I use JavaScript, but you can use Python, for example, and this is a really good way for you to actually, even if you're in the professional world, build a skill for your resume that, hey, you're familiar with code, you're familiar with building projects, and you can actually put some of these projects on your website or on your GitHub, on your LinkedIn profile to showcase what you're doing, because again, this is a really great way to add these additional skills using ChatGPT into your resume, especially if you're in the world of tech. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful. I'll see you on the next one.